So I've talked about this before, but I'm going to do a specific clip just on this guy because I want to freak everybody out and give them nightmares forever. So there's a couple of YouTubers that actually touch on these topics. Repzion is one, Blair White's another, and they touch on some maybe not so scary story. I mean, they're scary, but nothing like I'm going to present to you guys. So Repzion was confused as to why nobody does anything. Okay, I'm going to refer you guys to, or anybody, because I don't know if he'll ever run across this, but anybody else, to watch these series of clips that were done. I believe it's 2004, because that's what it says on the bottom, from BBC. So they did this documentary on the guru. So it's spelled Sathya, Sai Baba. Sai Baba. This is one of the largest oligarchs that raped a bunch of little boys, a bunch of children, maybe some females. There was a whole story on the, like, there's stories forever on it because he's been around forever. And then he passed away, I believe, in 2011. So one day I used to go to the Bodhi tree in West Hollywood a lot. I'd go in the evening, hang out there, buy a bunch of books, try to do fun, positive, spiritual things, get, incense, whatever, read some books, expand my knowledge, blah, blah, blah. So I found this guy's book. It was this little tiny book. It was like $3.95 or something. I'm like, who the hell is this? Let's get this. Let's learn about this fool. So I read the book. I was like, I'm not impressed. It kind of sounds like a ripoff of the Bible. Like, basically, it is, actually. And I just thought, like, I mean, how bad could this guy be? You know what I mean? It's just like, whatever. He's just kind of a ripoff artist as far as that goes. But the message didn't seem like too bad. But it was basically the same type of stuff. This was in MySpace days, so then I started posting all these gurus, right? Because I was studying them and everything. And I was like, well, this one, he has this sort of philosophy where, they have these different viewpoints of how to live and stuff. And I found it really interesting. I'm like, okay, yeah. And then one day, this was kind of horrible for me. So one day, I had got this book of this other guru. It was like Swami Mukanada or whatever the hell his name is. Anyway, so I was like looking him up, and all of a sudden I run across this website saying that he like raped all these women. I'm like, what? Don't tell me that. That can't be real. Is that real? And I started reading on it. Then I found out this one, and he was raping a bunch of little boys. And it took me down a really dark hole, because I was like, oh my God, there's like all these celebrities that like worship these guys. And then this particular one that I'm talking about actually has videos of himself on YouTube, and it's like, how does anybody fall for that? Because I guess he started doing these little magical tricks like in person, and everybody like fell for it. Celebrities, Goldie Hawn, Ricky Martin, you name it. But this one guy is probably the most scary in this thing, I think. Because he's worth a lot of money. I mean, probably more. Everything about this just like hella creeps me out. You would think like if you remove the cult thing, like mafia, like the way they're acting, but it's actually straight out of their cult. He's worth $500 million. He may be worth $1 billion. He may have money somewhere else. But anyway, he's worth a hell of a lot of money, okay? I don't know what he's doing still, but he gave millions of dollars to this fool. He traveled to go stay with him. He did all sorts of things. He was up his butt. He was probably letting him rape him, okay? Like, I don't know when this started or what the hell happened here, but this guy is probably also a pedophile, because you wouldn't say the things he said in this documentary. It was just like, whoa. It was everything like people joke about the Trump thing when Trump goes, he's like, I can shoot somebody in the middle of the street or Park Avenue or whatever and people would still love me. Oh, yes. That's this Swami dude. Issac is 72 now. Of course, all these men are in their 70s. All these oligarchs are in their 70s. They're all predators, every single one of them. This one just happens to touch on the music industry in its weirdest way. His career, okay. June 1971, he and Peter Morton started the first Hard Rock Cafe. Everybody knows the Hard Rock Cafe, right? In London, in the Mayfair district. The restaurant combined rock music, memorabilia related to rock and roll and American cuisine. The cafe music museum concept became very popular, and soon the restaurant opened units in different parts of the globe. See, there's this underlying thing that's going on, which none of us can ever tap into because we're not part of these inner groups of things that are going on here. One of them was this cult, definitely. But anyway, it says HRC was the first themed restaurant chain in the world. Tigrett, I guess that's you say his name, bought Morton out and took on the original cafe in London, along with the rights to the name in most of the world, including U.S. east of Mississippi. Morton had rights to the name in states west of Mississippi and in Israel, Colombia, Australia. These guys are all over the place. They're not just in the USA. They're all over the globe. And they prey on people all over the globe, okay? So it says eventually both sold their interest in HRC to the rank organ. I don't know what all this stuff is. But anyway, 1992 started the House of Blues with partner Dan Aykroyd. Harvard University was an initial investor in the business, and a prototype was opened in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Soon after, Disney and Andrew invested in the venture. Differences of opinions between Tigrett and the other HOB board members of operations resulted in Tigrett leaving the venture in 1998. One of them was Chase Bank. Okay, so all these people, these are all the oligarchs. They own everything. That's what I'm saying. But when you start getting deep into this, you're going to kind of be like, what in the living hell? What in the living hell? In the late 1990s, Tigrett launched the Spiritual Channel, an enterprise offering services related to spirituality and health through the internet, traditional media, and physical locations. The venture failed to take off in 2004. Tigrett launched yet another new venture, the Bozo Project, focusing on the restaurant business. Tigrett was influenced by his guru, Sai Baba. So I don't know when this started, but it may have been forever, because it goes on to this thing. In the BBC documentary, The Secret Swami, Tigrett stated that he believed that there was truth to the rumors of Sai Baba's actions of pedophilia and sexual abuse towards some of his young male followers. He also stated that such behavior would not change his belief in Sai Baba, which may say a lot more about him, about what he does, or what he's okay with, and blah blah blah. But it actually gets worse, because we'll show you him talking. So it says HOB was sold to Live Nation in 2006. In '89, Tigrett married Maureen Cox, the ex-wife of Beatle drummer Ringo Starr. So if you just read this here, you would kind of be like, okay, whatever. What? So just realize this. Every amount of money that you spend towards any company that these guys have, you fund this guy, and you're funding human trafficking and rape of children, because then what he does is he'll take tons of that money, and then he gives it on over to Sai Baba, right? And all these guys did that. So they'd give him like millions and millions of dollars. And there was a tank of government involved where they fell into this too. It's so ridiculous. Like when you see this guy, you're going to be like, what? I would get it if it didn't have the magic tricks and he wasn't touching children and stuff like that. If you're just reading the book and it's kind of like a runoff of the Bible type of thing. Just be good to people. Blah, blah, blah. I didn't really think of anything to really come up with this religion or whatever bullshit we're trying to peddle here. But alone, like, it's kind of like whatever. But then you add all this other stuff and it's like, okay, yeah, the creep factor went, you know, through the ceiling. It's so terrible to me that I'm just like, oh my God, there's so much in this movie thing. So there's a documentary, BBC, The Secret Swami. It's on YouTube. And it's in parts. So this is on part 4. But if you watch the beginning, so at the beginning, they talk about how this, I don't know if they're American or Australian, there's something, but anyway, they used to send their son to go see the Swami alone, and he basically would rape their son, and he never said anything for like a long time, and they finally asked him, like, what's wrong? You don't look happy coming out of here, what's happening? And he breaks down. This is like pre-leaving Neverland. Like they sat down and talked to the parents, right? And then the son, and then they actually went and did some other stuff in this. But so they were going back and forth talking about it, saying how shocking it was for them and this betrayal and all this stuff. So I don't know if the guy that did the documentary for that was somewhat inspired even by this, because this, I mean, it's almost like taking this and then just extending that portion. This is so terrible. So they find out all this stuff, and this is back in the day when in 2004, if you were even talking about boys getting raped, they'd be like, eh. They start going undercover in here and talking to some officials, and these officials, like, this is how they talk to everyone. So this is how they take our reports, right? So everybody's like, I don't understand why nobody does anything. This documentary breaks down exactly what's happening in this, like, big government human trafficking rings, like, or different ones, whatever is going on, because they start covering up for each other. And so then if you go to them, they have this attitude. They may not always tell you what they tell this person in the interview, because I think they taped them without their knowledge, like, in some way. They will talk to you that way sometimes, but then other times they'll be like, they'll act like they're taking it seriously, but then they don't actually do an investigation. So this kind of actually went inside of it. So I don't know why everybody's acting all clueless about it, because BBC did a really good job in this particular documentary of the layers of the people involved in all this. And in this particular story, this will not necessarily be the same for every story, but they actually murdered their victims, some of the little boys, because I guess they claim that they broke into this place, but anyway, they, like, literally annihilated them, and then tried to say that they were trying to attack these guys with guns, and they're like, that doesn't match up to the story. And so anyway, there was all these dead kids all over their, it was his palace or whatever. Yeah, which it starts getting a little scary. And I've talked about that. I was like, there is a layer of danger, but you have to almost, like, take that chance in order to break this down, because this needs to end. Like, all this, like, that's going on needs to collapse. This particular documentary is too, probably it's extreme of what the worst portion of it could be, like you getting killed and then the police are making up stories of how you died and stuff. This guy is somebody you should be aware of and what he's capable of, and he tells you in his own words. And because he does that, you should be very concerned about an individual like this. And he's running on his cult thought. So he's literally, like, if Sai Baba told him to do something, if Sai Baba told him to jump off a bridge, he would literally do it. Okay, so this person is void of any type of soul, basically. So they interview him, and they interview other people. I would love to go through this whole movie with you guys.
In despair, they contacted Issac Tigrett of the Hard Rock Cafe. He was sympathetic, but not very helpful.
His dad talked to me, and I said, look, I'm sorry if this happened to your family, to your son, whatever. Anyone would be sympathetic, anybody. I said, but it's not changing my feelings about Sai Baba. It just isn't.
So even if it was proven to you that Sai Baba was a paedophile and a serial sex abuser, you're saying it wouldn't change the fact that he is your guru?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. He could go out and murder someone tomorrow. As I said, it's not going to change the good things that have come out of my relationship down there.
Does that mean that some part of you believes there could be some truth to the rumours?
Oh, absolutely. I believe there is truth to the rumors.
You believe there is truth to the rumours?
Sure, it probably is.
Is that not crazy? He's probably involved in it. I mean, how can you even sit there and be like that? He's like, yeah, I'm sure there's truth to those rumors, but I'm still gonna worship him. He's bringing me such good things in my life. Screw these little boys getting raped, and I'm actually funding them with millions of dollars to help him rape them. And then he's like, he could go murder anybody. So he can murder the kids, because he did murder kids. That he can go murder kids, and he's still gonna follow them. So you have to take that mentality of this person, is how you break them down, their characters, and they tell you who they are. That if Sai Baba told him, I need you to go kill about 10 kids for me because whatever reason, and give some divine, virtuous thing to do it, that this guy would do it. And they own the Hard Rock and all the other stuff. And he's worth $500 million and probably more, actually, and he probably has money hidden somewhere. Yeah. And same thing with Sai Baba. Before he died, his wealth This is the thing with these son of a bitches. I'm telling you. I mean, it's not even like this would be so different if you knew it was like a crime network, like some type of mafia, right? Because then they're like operating on this like criminal mind. No, this guy's operating on brain dead guru cult shit where he's just void of any type of morale. And why he is not busted for anything, the government in this movie, they talk about the United States, right? They said like other government agencies were totally down with this, and I believe some of our officials were in this too. But like they just generally like the states like, yeah, we should be aware of this guy. He's like touching little boys, blah blah blah. It's just like this notice. That's what I was saying. Like DOJ did the same thing when they had information about raping cops. They're just like, yeah, we know this goes on, just beware. It was the same thing. So they even show that in this movie, this documentary, that they're like, yeah, just beware, he's raping little boys or whatever, you know. And then you see a tank of these celebrities who's involved in this, and they're going over there, or they're sending money to that guy. They're funneling this human trafficking shit, and there's like no telling like if these boys got passed around into a tank of other people. There's so many stories on the victims that they're all kind of different, like in different circumstances. And this guy had been sexually abusing them the entire time. And so people were like going to him, you know, thinking he's this divine creature. And then they would hand their kids to him. And then he would take them off into these private things. And then he would sexually assault them in different ways. And then the parents didn't know. And so they were basically being used for him to rape their children. And he did this for so many years. And then, so then it got really scary because then he starts getting all the government people sucked into this. I mean, this guy's like the truest of all psychopaths. I mean, he's like getting government people into this, and they're like, we're gonna give you all this money and back and forth. So he was able to manipulate like every single human, and he's not even good, but these people are not, they're not critical thinkers, okay? A lot of them. They let him do all this stuff, and then time, like, so he passes away like in 2011. Like, people were starting to bring this up more. I was talking about it a lot too, because I was like, I'm totally freaked out. I bought all these books of these gurus, and they're all like rapists. Like, what the hell, you know, like what's going on in this world? And they're like doing that over there. And I honestly think like a lot of like Americans like don't give a crap about anything that doesn't happen here. And it doesn't mean that it wasn't happening here either, because they have a lot of devotees here all over the world. And so then if those people are okay with it over there, they're okay with it here. This mentality here. So if they see it, they're not going to do anything. They may also engage in that same thing because he was doing that to them. So therefore they think whatever that is happening to them, they might do to other people. That guy is such a, this guy that did the interview, Mr. Hard Rock Cafe, is a total predator. I mean, you could just tell. It's like, how do you even say this type of crap? He can go murder somebody. I'm still gonna worship his ass, you know what I mean? It's like, whoa, you literally went there on TV? That's some crazy ass stuff right there. Like, that tells you, like, that guy can tell him to go murder a freaking million people, and he would just do it. He's like, that's my guru. Yeah. And he went over there to stay over there. In fact, it says in this other article, Tigrett returned to his native home, Jackson, Tennessee, in 2001 to attend his ailing mother, Frances, until her death in 2005. Tigrett now lives in whatever over there in South India at the ashram of his master, Sai Baba. So he went over there after that to go live with them, and then it's all, and what would that mean if he's living with them? He's probably raping kids too, okay? I honestly God believe, like, any person that would just totally shut that off, I don't care if you're like guru, whatever, you're fine with it. That's all that means, is you're fine with it. I was like, isn't this like the biggest oligarch in the world, or was at a time? Because it's all, Sai Baba founded a large number of schools. Course, they love doing stuff with kids. Alice loves doing stuff with kids. These guys love the kids. They love the kids. You should never trust a guy like this, okay? And it says, and colleges, hospitals, which, by the way, one of his, and it was probably a bunch of them, but one of the kids that he raped had to go seek a doctor because he was really injured from being sodomized, basically. And I don't know if there was like this cover-up or something. There's like all this stuff going on. And so if you're dealing with doctors that believe, like the doctor said he has a hard time, like, thinking this guy's not divine. Anyway, it says hospitals and other charitable institutions in India and abroad, the net financial capital of which is usually estimated at 400 billion, which is US 9 billion. However, estimates as high as 1.4 trillion, about 31.5 billion, have also been made. This guy, I was like, what in the living hell? What in the living hell? Humans, what the hell? That's from all over the world. That's from the US, Australia, everywhere. These government got involved with this, and raping children, human trafficking. Where's Sathya? Why aren't these people arrested now? Can we start arresting the people that were involved in this? Like Mr. Hard Rock and all that? Because I don't believe for 1 second that Mr. Hard Rock was not raping some young boys, okay? Because you do not sit there and be like, and start laughing. Did you hear him laugh? I was like, what is funny about that? And some kids got killed. I'm like, was he there when that happened? Like, what is going on here? And our music industry, I go, our music industry hasn't been touched. You guys have not seen that. Have you? No, 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 no. Alice is hell protected. I'm like, I don't know what hell shit else is in this, but these guys, so let's say Mr. Hard Rock sees some kids getting raped or something. He's not going to do anything. He might even come after you and murder you. He's like, I'm fine with murder. I'm like, holy fucking holy, what is this? It's not even mafia shit. It's cult shit. So I don't know if they're all, like, have this cult mentality, like some different religious point of view, but this is not religious freedom. Raping children, no, it's a crime. So is murder. Oh, that's so crazy to me. But I thought this would blow your guys' mind, because the stories that have been coming out, like Onision and all these other people, they're kind of your everyday predator, but it's not like Onision has this massive, like, billion-dollar fortune and he's gonna send out his guards to go murder his victims. Like, that's such a different thing. Like, it's on a level that is helping people like him to not get in trouble. I'll put it that way. These oligarchs, these ones up above, we're gonna call them up above, and they're in their Illuminati circle of being billionaires, basically. They're the ones that kind of protect all this. Chase Bank. Chase Bank was that. I told you, I was on a panel and I confronted Chase Bank about their discrimination against women, and particularly some incidents where they had just closed some women's bank accounts down because they thought they were too slutty or some bullshit, right? So I confronted them because I got thrown on a panel, but I went to confront them about it, and this female that was running the group was like, oh, we could tell you don't want to be here. I'm like, what part of that just shows you that I don't want to be here? I'm trying to help get your bank on the right track. Why are we here? So, am I only supposed to be here if I only have positive things to say? Then it would be pointless to have this group, right? And then she was like, she blocks me and she's like, we don't discriminate and blah, 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 as she's discriminating. I was like, is this a joke? I was like, no, I literally want to be here and I want to make your bank freaking right. But we see the bank was involved with people that funded this stuff. So that's why I say they're the biggest hypocrites, because behind the scenes, they're involved with raping women, raping little boys, doing all these things, but they want to control the story. They don't want to ever get in trouble. They don't want any of these things to happen to them. So you're seeing this big power struggle between the victims, basically. Government's the one that's like, let's target victims. Our victims. I was like, I think people think I was exaggerating or making that up. I was like, no, no. Oh no, no, no. They want to target their victims to keep them down. This motherfucker kills them. So I was like, yeah, no, that is a thing. And I was saying, I was like, the media has all the information to this. Like, they've done documentaries, they've done all these things, and they've talked to these rich guys, right? So you have to actually go through these interviews, these documentaries, like I just pulled up now, which at the time, I guarantee you, in 2004 when that came out, this little segment probably didn't shock too many people. Probably shocked people that have victims or kids victims, and they acknowledge it. But I think the general public, like, when they hear that guy talking, is like, yeah, whatever, we understand, because this guy's a divine dude. Whatever, I don't know. I don't think they even flinched on that little portion. So I figured, let's bring it up today and see how people take that, because it's a little, it's more than a little scary. It's really scary. If you watch this entire documentary, you will see, because you could look at that two different ways. You could look at it as a criminal network where they don't need to have a guru and they're acting this way, right? Because that would be the same type of actions. And then this group is running off of a religious fraud. This whole other thing, which is similar to like the Keith Raniere thing, right? Where they had the human trafficking sex thing going on, blah, blah, blah. So, but this is like 10 times, million times, bazillion times worse than Keith Raniere. That's why I'm like, this is the insane part, because this is probably like one of the highest paid oligarch child rapist maybe ever. That's as far as I've run across. And how many people are involved. So you have people in Hollywood all up on this dude. Because when he died, they were all putting out all, they're like, oh, he's a R.I.P. And I was like, you do, and I kept coming out, I was like, you know, he raped a bunch of children. You know, he raped a bunch of kids. Everybody's like, yeah, but whatever. He's a great man. He did all these good things, though. That's what they did. Yes, so they were okay with it. They're just like, wait, we're just ignoring these damn children. Even in Time magazine, they put sexual abuse as the last portion of how he's controversial. They were just like, oh, they think, you know, like he's a fraud and also sexual abuse. But anyways, here's all the great things about him. And it's like, dude, no. But that's what they did. And I kept going on and on and on how he's a rapist and how Goldie Hawn was there and all these other people. And you know Hollywood had a fit about it. They were probably like, that bitch. Yep. And we're here again. So we're going to show you guys the hypocrisy of all these son of a bitches when they're like now going, oh yes, human trafficking. I was like, oh, weren't you involved in this? You sure were, weren't you? Did you give some money? Did you fund some human trafficking rings today, Hollywood? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. We know y'all hang out at the Hard Rock too, don't you? All this stuff. All of it. They're all involved, you guys. It's just crazy to me. But anyway, yeah, this is probably about the most horrifying thing. There is so much stuff, and a lot of that stuff is already in the public. Like, it's just information that you have to spend a lot of time. Let me tell you this. You have to go through these stories of all these rape victims. You have to go search for them. You have to dig. You have to go fishing. You have to go through these holes where some of these people try to erase it or try to blow it off, and they are in the media. Like, there are stories. There's all these things, and you have to go through it, and then you have to read it, and you'll start seeing where it starts to connect with each other, and not making up a connection, like there's a picture of Oprah with Harvey Weinstein necessarily, but you're going to start seeing, like, things like this, where the guy's literally saying something, where it's like, dude, it sounds like you're pro-raping kids. Like the Bill Maher thing, right? That was already out there that he was being pro-rapist, but nobody cared at the time when it was out. It was the same thing with the Bette Midler story. It was like the rape story was already out. It was just re-bringing it up. And all of a sudden, versus 1990, whenever that was, nobody cared. And you bring it up today, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what? Oh my God. Like, then it becomes this bigger thing. So yeah, bringing up this Hard Rock dude again, because you almost want to know all his connections to that. Who's involved in this damn cult out here? Who has done these things to children? Because they obviously don't think it's wrong. and they might murder some people, and those are the things you want to look for, and you'll just start piecing it together. Like, you might see him and it's like, oh yeah, they both went to India together on this thing to go see this fool, you know, things like that. It's been years. I've been going through this for, God, if I was talking about that MySpace time, that was in 2000, probably in 2000. I learned about this fool in, I think, around 2003 or 4. And then it was around 2005 and 6. It could have been around 6. I found out he raped a bunch of kids, something weird. It was like not too long later. It was kind of like that. And then, so ever since then, I started like talking about it. I was like, ooh, these gurus are raping everybody. What is this? Yeah, and then it just grew to what it is now. And then starting to see the connections in the music industry with some of these people. But they're all over for different reasons. Different reasons. They're not all in this cult. This is just one of the cults. We talked about another cult, the LOA stuff, the other lady, she's crazy. She's on the Southern Poverty List. That's another cult. There's over 4,000 religions in in the United States, so I can't keep up with them all, but they all, almost in all these, they have some form of sexual abuses and try to like rationalize raping kids or women, or just a lot of them. I don't know of any that doesn't. There's some crazy stuff. No, but this is really crazy. This guru crap. We'll be back.